Around this time last month, I was terrified looking at the PSVR2 release calendar. It seemed incomprehensible that we were going to get Project Wingman, Ghostbusters VR, Journey to Foundation, Madison VR, not to mention Vertigo 2, one of the highest rated PC VR games ever made, along with about 20 other PSVR2 titles, all in the span of just 31 days. Well, it goes without saying that October ended up being just okay, with a few real standouts, but just as many disappointments and game delays. And little did we know, we were saving the biggest disappointment for last. The Foglands is yet another VR roguelite, and I know that some of you are sick of the genre, but I'm not. I love the gameplay loop of dying and retrying, each time ever so slightly leveling up your character and equipment. And that's essentially the setup here too. Society's been pushed on the ground, supplies are limited, and as a runner, your job is to head out deeper and deeper underground to collect supplies and help your settlement survive. Except that's not at all what you're doing here, which honestly is a shame. There's a ton of stuff to pick up in the world, but it's all essentially useless. Being able to throw everything in a backpack and bring it home Saints and Sinners style to help your civilization would have added a much needed level of depth here that the Foglands is sadly lacking. Supposedly, the items scattered around aren't useless. You can upgrade your throwing and melee attacks between runs to use them to fight enemies. But in a world where guns and ammo are plentiful, there's simply no reason to deal with the janky, unreliable melee attacks. And while guns are certainly more reliable, they're still janky. It doesn't matter if you use grip to hold or the grip toggle option. Interacting with items in the Foglands absolutely sucks. Having to stand in just the right place and putting your hand in just the right position in order to pick something up is an exercise in frustration. So imagine trying to grab ammo off the ground and reloading your janky gun in the middle of a boss fight. It's strange because gold scrap is automatically sucked up when you walk near it. Why isn't ammo? You never don't want to pick up ammo. I died about 12 times in the 8 hours it took me to beat the campaign, and very few of those felt like my fault. And I didn't even bother unlocking the other guns until I beat the final boss, instead focusing solely on upgrading my health and my first gun's attack power, which worked perfectly fine. There's only 3 levels here and 3 boss fights, so it seems like Well-Told Entertainment was relying heavily on the random nature of roguelike games to keep things interesting. Procedurally generated maps, random buffs, limited items to buy at stores. These are ways to ensure that every run feels just a bit different than the last. But none of that pertains to the Foglands. Yeah, the maps are randomly generated, but you'll hardly ever notice, because you'll see all the same rooms on each and every run, just in a slightly different order. You'll pick up cards that give you small perks, but during the 8 hours I spent unlocking more and more of these cards, I only ever found one that was helpful. Oh, and then there's this dude. He shows up and offers a few items for sale, but yet again, most of it's unnecessary. When you can beat the entire game with the original gun and maybe a health spray, why bother? Plus, trying to use explosives, the ones you throw, and red barrels strewn throughout the environment, they are practically useless. Lighting enemies on fire doesn't seem to take down their health significantly, since I still have to dump a pile of bullets into them to take them down. If you're hoping I'm about to finally say something positive about the Foglands, well, you're going to be pretty disappointed. There are irritating bugs and design problems everywhere, like doors not opening until pointless banter with the NPCs is over, items falling into level geometry making them inaccessible, certain things just not working at all, level bosses that disappear mid-fight wasting hours of my life, certain events not triggering properly which kept me from progressing, wasting even more hours of my life. The list goes on and on. The environments look like an unoptimized Quest 2 game with frame rate issues everywhere. And the walk speed is intolerable, so my thumb literally hurt from holding down the analog stick to run constantly. Listen, if you're the type of person who skips to the end of a review because you only want to see the score or hear final thoughts on the game, I'll make it simple for you. It's been a long time since I was disappointed with the game, as much as I was with the Foglands. It currently feels like a pre-alpha build, but honestly, even if all the bugs were worked out, I don't even think there's a good game foundationally here. Needless to say, I'm incredibly disappointed.